Hi and welcome to everybody. We today have a presentation with Inderes. To help us through the presentation, we are joined by CEO Michael Rautanen. Today's event, look into your Q2 report or the half-year report, but especially with the Q2 as new number, as also some July numbers you went out with yesterday. A little bit more muted growth, but I think you warned us last time we spoke that there was some seasonality effect that you expected, so maybe we shouldn't overdo that. But let's dig into that. As always, you can ask questions down in the box down below. Do a true presentation. I will see if it fit in. And for disclaimer-wise, we also have to say that we and Inderes have a technology partnership, and you own 20% of HC Andersen, so that should be clear. But for now, I'll hand the presentation over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks everyone for joining. Please send in your questions, and if after the event you feel like you have other things you want to ask from me, you can post those questions to inderes.dk forum or inderes.se forum. So please, if you have anything to ask, we can continue the dialogue there. But yeah, yesterday we released our first half results. So in a nutshell, we are pleased with how we did on the first half overall, given the, I would say, sluggish market conditions. We continued our growth. Of course, that's mainly driven by acquisitions, but also organically grew. We improved our profitability like we should, because we had quite a weak comparison period, and we did a really strong cash flow. In Sweden, we're really happy with how the acquired businesses have been performing. Our AGM product, that's been a huge success driver for the first half. And what I'm really happy about is that we won a lot of AGM deals. We delivered them in a very good way. We have a lot of happy and pleased customers, which means that we have very good foundation to grow that business going to next year. What we're seeing in Finland is that as a positive market trend, we're seeing more and more pressure from the investor side, that they are demanding more transparency and equal treatment of all investors, and that's kind of like the underlying trend that is feeding into our business. And a positive thing, especially in Finland, has been that we are seeing many of the biggest companies in Finnish Stock Exchange becoming more active on serving retail investors as well. And these companies, Inderes is for them the go-to place to be the partner to help them in reaching out that target group. So we're seeing some new deals and gaining bigger share in the large cap sector as well. That's really positive. Of course, we're affected by the challenging macroeconomic situation, which is reflected in our project sales. In the first quarter, we didn't see that effect that much because we had such a boom in the AGM sales. In the second quarter, going to the end of the second quarter, this became more visible. We had quite weak June sales, up only 6%. July was up again 50%, so there's quite a bit of seasonality effect as well. But yeah, that's affected in the project sales. That's what we're seeing. There's no IPO projects. They are put on pause or cancelled altogether, and kind of like we're not expecting this year to see many IPOs. That expectation is now kind of like pushed to next year. So altogether, revenue up 40%, EBITDA around 10% up a bit from last year, and the share of recurring revenue continues to rise. A big milestone was that we reached the 400 listed company customer milestone. That's a big achievement for us. So happy to see that the B2B side of Inderes platform is becoming stronger and stronger, because if we can grow to B2B, that's where we get the cash flow and revenue. That's where we get more and more content. And with that, it becomes easier for us to build better and better services for the investor community. And the better service we can build for the investor community in the long run, we're going to see that that will also feed into the growth of the investor community. Right now, year on year, the number of community members is declining. On Q2, that was flat. And we've discussed that earlier as well. But basically what we're seeing there is that in the boom of the stock market, we got a peak in the number of new community members. And when the market turned into bear market, we saw a lot of those new members leaving our service. So basically what we've been saying is kind of like at the core of our community, which are mainly very, very active equity investors who have been in the market for decades. Many of them, they stick and like our service.
So you can measure it on the numbers, and I know that's important when you present to other companies, but you can also measure it in the activity on the community. Is that also down? Is even the active members or the very active members, or are there still the same communication, posts and searches and such stuff? Or is that also a little bit down? Are people a little bit tired of the market also in that sense?
A bit down from the peak level when the kind of like activity and discussion was sometimes even heated, I would say. Yeah. But yeah.
Perfect.
All right. And then the number of personnel, that's basically at the same level as where we were at the end of last year. So no increases on that, which of course is reflected on our cost and improving profitability, that because it's the most significant cost item. If we go into our business areas, so equity research, events, and IR software are the three business areas we have. With equity research, we're still seeing that the number of commissioned research contracts is growing, even though in Finland we are right now in a situation where we have a lot of delistings because of acquisitions, and we are seeing no IPO. So basically in Finland, our market is shrinking at the moment, but we are still growing. That's since we are still winning from the new contracts from the existing companies, and the first clients are in Sweden are coming in. So this is a resilient business. We're not seeing any churn to be unusual, unlike we've seen in the industry. So the stickiness of the services is very, very, very good. What's affecting? Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we have a question. You mentioned that companies are being acquired. That's not what we're really seeing in Denmark, but we are seeing delistings by smaller and by smaller companies, because of the liquidity goes out in markets like this. Have you seen that, or is that a fear of you that you might also see some delisting, not only companies being acquired, but simply delisting from some of the growth markets up there, also in your client base, or is there a little bit of a higher? You have had a growth market for longer. That means that it's more established and has higher liquidity.
Yeah.
So how do you see that fear or the tendency we are seeing in Denmark?
We're not seeing delistings. We're seeing only acquisitions, basically, and I think it's because most of our companies are quite established and a bit of other lists in Nordics.
Perfect.
Yeah. On this business, where the profitability wise, the profitability has decreased That's because of their project sales and of course mainly driven by the ramp up of the Sweden operations, because this is a long game. You need to recruit analysts, you need to train them, and then you need to work on the sales pipeline, and the sales cycles can be really long. But we have demonstrated that once you get this ball rolling, we have the very strong and cash flow generating business here. Events, actually nowadays our biggest business area after the acquisition. Very strong growth driven by the acquisitions, driven by AGM productions. So we've been winning larger and larger share of more demanding and bigger event productions thanks to the AGM sales in this business area, and that of course gives us credibility. If we deliver well, and the large cap clients are happy with the productions, then they're probably going to use us for their next big capital markets day and other investor events. So winning more and more trust of our important clients in this area, and also continuing good profitability. This business was a COVID winner, but because customers went from physical to virtual events, but our business didn't come down after COVID, because we shifted to hybrid event strategy, which we believe is the way to go long term, especially in the investor relations segment, where kind of like transparency and equal treatment of all investors is such a critical thing. Of course, we see some customers going from virtual events to fully physical, so losing business there, but that is basically offset by the growth in and bigger deals in the hybrid events side, and especially in the investor relations segment, which is our core strategic target market here.
There's a question so we can get a feel of it, Michael. How much of the event business is outside the IR segment? Because it sounds like you're still growing there, but it's more on the project side, more on the commercial side that there might be someone switching more to physical events. So how much? I don't know whether you want to give an exact number, but so a feel of it. How much of that business is what is growing, and maybe what is a little bit under pressure?
We're not giving out those numbers in detail, so it's a bit difficult for me to answer, but I try my best to give some color on the topic. Last year we struggled quite a bit because in this business area we lost a lot of business outside the listed company client sector. But today that part of the business is by no means significant anymore, because we have grown in other areas, and now after the acquisition it's even more weighted on the investor relations side. So maybe I can say that majority of it is investor relations, and once we go into the investor relations, we also try to win other event business within those large listed companies. So the target client segment is listed companies overall, and the primary segment is investor relations, but we also want to win other businesses as well. And outside listed companies, that's no longer that significant part of the business, because of the growth in listed company side over the last 12 months. Yeah. All right. Then if we move on to investor relations software, so there we are transforming from product development phase to commercial phase. We're still in early days there, so we are growing revenues, but it's a negative profitability because of the development phase of this business. Now we have the the last, I would say, given our strategy, the last critical element of the product portfolio live on the market. I wouldn't say it's ready. Of course, all products need to be continuously developed, but happy to see that we kind of like now have the product portfolio that we are that kind of like our strategy needs. And what our product portfolio is about, it's very much simplicity, efficiency, many times also cost saving for the investor relations. So given the current market conditions, that's also a pitch that is a bit easier to sell for the IROs. And of course, the AGM product in this portfolio has been extremely successful, and now we're building on for the next season in Finland and piloting first clients outside Finland as well. Cool. So a bit more detail about the numbers. I'll walk through these quite quickly, throw in, Michael, some questions if you have any. So the first half, 40% growth, recurring revenue up by 50%, project revenue by 30%. Nothing significant on the cost structure. Basically, these numbers are very much in line with what we plan going into this year. In Finland, we are disciplined and cautious with taking in new costs, and then on the Sweden side, we are of course investing as our strategy says, so kind of like balancing with those. But profitability improvement, that's mainly driven by being cautious in taking in new costs and investments, especially in Finland, where our business is more mature. Actually, here, one significant thing that investors should note, we are in the Finnish accounting standard, which means that the acquisitions we have made in the last years are depreciated every quarter. So that sums up to around 1.3 million euro accounting cost, which doesn't affect our cash flow in any way. It's purely an accounting item related to the Finnish accounting standards. That's why we recommend investors to look our EBITDA instead of EBIT, and our earnings per share after the adjusted for the goodwill depreciation. These adjustments make Inderes comparable to other listed companies that are in the IFRS accounting standard. So that should be noted, because due to the acquisition last year, this becomes quite a significant item in our balance sheet. But it doesn't affect our lives in any way, or our ability to pay dividends or anything like that. It's a purely accounting item. Second quarter revenue up by 28%, organically slowed down to 6%. That's mainly due to the AGM season, where we had a really nice boost in the first quarter. That got like impact slowing down, and then in June we had very weak project sales in Finland in basically all business areas. July revenue up by 50%. You can see our monthly revenue report as well. So we will keep investors real time updated on our performance. Profitability up as planned from the weak comparison period. balance sheet, it's strong. The year-on-year most significant changes are related to the acquisitions in Sweden.
And actually, I had a question. Is there something in your business model after you acquired Sweden, prepayments or something like that? Because you're clearly running a very high cash conversion. That's very interesting for investors. It's around 2 times your EBITDA this quarter here. Is there some is there something changing in your business model where you will run a higher cash conversion, or is it something temporary movements? Just to get that clarified.
I would say it's both. The more we grow the recurring business, the better the cash conversion, because we aim to invoice those deals kind of like in advance, mainly. And then for the first half, there's a quite significant change in working capital, which is basically just basic business processes, improving on those, collect your receivables in more efficient way.
Oh, not repeatable every quarter.
Yeah, the working capital change is a bit more challenging. But yeah, as a company founded by the analysts, we love cash flow. I think that's always important. So happy to see that our business model is delivering strong operating cash flow that enables us to keep our balance sheet strong, pay out dividend, and execute on the growth strategy all at the same time. Our outlook, that's unchanged, so above 70 million revenue and EBITDA to improve from last year. The background of the outlook, we've made a minor adjustment there. So previously we said that the demand is we expect the market demand to be stable, and now we say that we are not expecting our markets to grow this year, and that's driven by companies being acquired from the list, no IPOs coming in, and of course, given the macroeconomic situation, we are not seeing that our clients would increase their investor relations spending at least significantly. Rather, it's some listed companies in Finland are more on the cost saving, looking for cost savings, and like we discussed earlier, Finland has been one of the worst performing stock markets in the whole world this year so far, year to date. So given these market conditions that our business is mainly based on Finland, it's I'm happy with how we are performing.
And regarding the IPO market, I know it's hard to talk about when your stock market is down, but I guess some are being postponed, some are being pulled totally away from market. Do you have some insights? Do you expect this to be a little bit better? Because I guess with your product offering, which have a very initial big package for people IPOing, I guess that is a big factor for how much you're growing. So are they being pulled? Are they being postponed into 2024? So there might be something that that comes as a catch-up bottle. What is your feeling about that, Michael?
Long term, I'm positive. When is the ketchup bottle effect coming? That I cannot predict. But during the last 10 years in Finland, we saw a significant change in the mindsets of entrepreneurs. That 10 years ago, IPO was not a relevant option for a growth entrepreneur, and today it is one of those very relevant options that the growth company might take in addition to other options. So kind of like that has come into the table during the last 10 years. Now it's just frozen because of the market situation. But I've spent countless hours talking with countless number of entrepreneurs on their future plans and how they see going public as an option, and there's a dramatic change in that kind of like thinking in Finland. And of course we had a taste of that in 2021 when we saw a lot of IPOs. and the number you saw in 2021, you could multiply that by I don't know what number, but it's way bigger number that are kind of like those entrepreneurs or companies that are in the process of thinking, yeah, I could do IPO once we get this and these targets reached or this level of revenue in 24, 25, 26. Some are even planning 4 or 5 years ahead, kind of like when thinking their long-term plans. So it is a relevant option long-term. I'm definitely optimistic long-term, but I need to be realistic short-term as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Then I would like to conclude with a brief update of our new strategy that we announced in late May when we had our Capital Markets Day. Please go watch the recording of the Capital Markets Day if you are interested. It's a 2-hour package that gives you a good deep dive into what Inderes is about nowadays. But this is just a summary. If we look at the evolution of this company, where we started, first phase was building up the research business and our technology platform in Finland. Then we diversified to investor relations events, AGMs, and IR software, continued our growth through that way. Soon we started to see that if we stay as a Finnish company, then the growth limits are soon being reached, because this is a relatively small market. Then we did the IPO, raised some capital, and got the muscles to start taking this company outside Finland, and started our journey with the Nordic expansion. So that's where we are today in the evolution of Inderes, and now we've kind of like acquired and built the assets and building blocks to do the Nordic growth. It's built on 4 product choices. So these products that we have built, they cover the investor relations essentials of a listed company. So if a listed company wants to do good service for their owners and the investor community, we have the full offering for that. It starts with equity research, so commissioned equity research, running the investor relations events, quarterly events, capital markets days, AGMs, doing the AGM productions, so both the event and the technology, and then the investor relations software needed to run the basic operations. Our offering is a combination of our expertise in the investor and relations and investing domain. So our professional work, our own technology platform, and then very important element, number 3, our ability to reach the relevant target groups for the investor relations, so our community and the distribution channels that we have built. 4 choices, 3 main markets. So 4x3 in this strategy, Sweden is the most significant market opportunity that we have, main growth market during this period. In Finland, growing with the existing client base, and like we discussed, we will continue to actively develop the local IPO ecosystem. And Denmark, definitely not forgotten. So we have a close cooperation with you guys. That's a good way for us to build together the operations in Denmark and to also develop and make Denmark Stock Exchange great again.
We don't like to be the little brother of Sweden, but we must acknowledge that with more than 1,000 listed companies and the size and the possibility in Sweden, we think it's okay that you mentioned that as the bigger opportunity.
Exactly. But yeah, you have Novo Nordisk. You should be happy.
Yeah, we have Novo Nordisk saving our returns this year.
Yeah. All right. So from an addressable market point of view, what this means is that we are now tapping into multiple times bigger addressable market than we have today or had previously in Finland, where we actually already had quite a large share of the whole market potential. Still, we are on a Nordic level with the 400 clients. We are quite a significant player already, but also with a lot of room to grow. We did a thorough strategy process together with the whole team. Basically, we spent 5 months on the strategy work with over 100 people. It was a process to bring together the whole organization and to define the long-term targets and goals of this company. And we spend a lot of time in identifying the obstacles on our way and being we like to be really honest with the obstacles and the weaknesses that we have as a company, state them out loud, and then the next phase is to start working on how to overcome the obstacles and weaknesses that we have. Those were transformed into 3 key strategic themes, and now in the second half, we will have a lot of strategic action points based on those themes that we start working on to make this strategy from PowerPoint into reality and set of coherent actions that take us forward. I think there's a quite good structure and discipline in how we're moving this thing ahead. Financial targets, those we maintained unchanged. So 30 to 50% revenue growth and profitability combination. That's where we aim for. If you look at the table, we in the past 5 years we never landed to that range. But of course I'm happy that it's been more on the side of exceeding the range. But that's the long-term ambition: build a business model that is both sustainable profitability and also sustainable profitable growth, and from that annually growing payout. So that was it, the first half and the strategy update in a nutshell. As a reminder, today is a great day to start investing in equities.
Perfect.
Long term.
I have a question, then there was also one from the audience. You know, you're moving into a lot of new areas and also countries. Are you seeing any pushback from competitors? You know, you're moving into especially maybe the IR software where you have never played a big role, and I guess someone has filled that gap. So are you seeing any pushbacks from competitors? Any reactions there?
Well, I would say, of course, we've been noticed in the market that we have entered this space, and we have looked at these product areas quite well for a long time, and we see that those are product areas where there is space for new competition. There is space for doing things in a bit different way, and that those products kind of like fit our company purpose and our product offering. So there are some really good players in that space, but we also see that there's room for us as well. And if you take AGMs under the IR software umbrella, AGMs is definitely an area where kind of like the industry and the processes have been built on so long, and legacy processes and technologies. There's so much work to do with the modern service and modern technology. So that's definite, and not that much in many markets. It's not that many players. So that's a really kind of like a sweet spot for this company, as our business is to connect investors and listed companies. AGMs is also at the heart of that.
And then there was, let's take the final question, and then you're off the hook, regarding the commissions research in Sweden. How are those deals going, and maybe some initial feedbacks from you now really pushing into that market by hiring some analysts up there?
Yeah, so now we have 2 analysts locally. We are ramping up some research that is non-commissioned to build the credibility and visibility in the market. And now that in the first half we had our hands full with the integration and the strategy work and a lot of things. Now we shift into the phase where we have more bandwidth to put energy and resources into outbound sales. So now we are activating a lot in outbound sales in Sweden with commissioned research. The initial feedback from clients and the meetings that we have is I would say very positive. The clients see as they kind of like welcome Inderes as an alternative to the Sweden market. They value our integrity and the independent way of doing research. So not doing kind of like marketing way this thing. But the challenge is kind of like the sense of urgency for those customers to start the deal. So it's not many cases that you have a client that is, oh yeah, actually right now we want to start research. It's usually, it takes time. I mean, I've seen it in Finland. It might be from 1 day to 8 years that you close the deal from the first meeting. So kind of like there's not that much kind of like sense of urgency to start the service right now, but there's the positive feedback which I'm happy about. What we saw in Finland when we started this business is now kind of like, given the current market conditions and the fact that so many, especially small companies, are being hit by the market. I mean, Sweden First North is down like, was it 60% in 2 years? I mean, that's crazy. What we saw in Finland back 10 years was that once many companies were so depressed and no investor interest in them, and there absolutely no liquidity, very low valuation on the share. That was actually the trigger for many companies in Finland to come to Inderes. Like, now we really need some help because no one is listening to us. No one is interested about our company, and you can do back of the envelope calculation and see that our share is really low valued. So at some point it might that very, very gloomy market turns into a trigger to ignite new deals. Let's see if that happens. We saw that in some cases in Finland, but that's an honest feedback from what I'm seeing and feeling from the market at the moment. I'm optimistic long term, but again, you need to be realistic short term.
Perfect. Michael, I think that was the last question. Thank you for taking the calls, and thank you for the listeners to listening in and asking questions. May everybody have a nice day.
Thank you.